Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be discussing the 2026 releases that I am so excited to read this year. There's definitely gonna be more, but I feel like a lot of the times releases for the later half of the year like don't get announced until later in the upcoming year. So we mainly just have like the first half of the year so far, but I'm really excited and I have a lot of authors that I love that do a lot of releases in like the April, May, June time, so I am literally ecstatic. So let's get into it. The first one is The Swan's Daughter by Roshni Chotsky, which comes out the 6th of January. Now, I have never read one of her books before, but I've just heard so many good things about it. It is a fantasy book. I've low-key not been in my fantasy era, but I really want to read one of her books this upcoming year, and why not the new release? I just feel like a lot of people that have very similar taste with me and very similar like 5 stars for specific reasons within fantasy really like her writing. So I am pretty excited to read that one. Actually, let's read the summary because couldn't tell you what it is. To find love is a curse. Prince Eris knows that marriage means murder thanks to a poorly worded wish to a sea witch. All one needs to rule the Isle of Malice is the heart and hand of the kingdom's heir. Historically, this has been construed quite literally. Thus, Eris expects that the day after his marriage and murder he will wake up as a sentient tree alongside the rest of his predecessors. His only chance at a long life is finding true and lasting love. When Eris's parents announce a tournament of brides to compete for his hand and heart, a slew of eligible, lovely, and possibly murderous bachelorettes make their way to Wrath Castle. Amidst glittering balls of Ozerald caves, strolls through menageries of daydream trees and pearl crocodiles, tea time on glass boats, and kisses that leave his head spinning. Eris cannot tell who is here out of love for him or lust for power. Wait, that sounds really cool. First of all, I love a little like competition for a betrothal kind of moment with like a prophecy, and second of all, the fact that he's gonna wake up as a sentient tree alongside the rest of his predecessors, and there's like daydream trees and pearl crocodiles and all this, like that just sounds so like cool and whimsical and fun and just very like magical and fantastical. And now I am actually really excited for this release. And also I think the cover is beautiful. I think like all of Roshni Chotsky's covers are beautiful, but I really like this one, and low-key might pick this up when it comes out because it's giving. Then next we have a release on the 10th of February, which is She Made Herself a Monster by Anna Kovacheva, which I've never heard of this author before, but first of all, the name intrigued me because it's clearly Slavic and I'm Slavic and would love to read more Slavic reads. But secondly, the cover also really enticed me, and then I read the summary and I thought it was so interesting. So yeah, I definitely just want to read more new authors to me, maybe more authors from different countries this year. I just feel like that's like a little personal goal. I want to have less pressure on like a specific like numerical reading goal and more of like fun goals that actually like mentally, intellectually get me somewhere, like reading from more countries, regions, languages, etc. Okay, let's read the summary. You cannot fight a poor harvest, but you can banish the demon that threatens your land. In 19th century Bulgaria, Yana is an unconventional helper. A self-proclaimed vampire hunter, she travels the desolate landscape, and in each struggling village that she visits, she stages a grisly tableau in a public square. She tells the stricken villages stories of monsters that stalk the nights. Then she eliminates the threat and sows seeds of hope in its wake. The village Koprivtsi thinks itself cursed. Plagued by illness and dark future, its children seldom survive infancy. There, Yana meets Anka, an isolated, lonely girl desperate to escape the threat of sexual violence in her home. Together they hatch a plan to spirit Anka away. By deception, theatrics, and animal sacrifice, they manifest a village vampire and work harmoniously until their strange public service clashes with urgent personal need. That just sounds so interesting. Like very, it's like fantasy but also not, because it seems to be quite a made up monster, and I really like I like the team up of two young girls trying to fight off a very real and sadly ever-present disturbance that is sadly prevalent in like so many lives and women's lives specifically. And I don't know, I just think that sounds really fascinating and I'm very, very excited to read it. Then we have The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez, which comes out the 31st of March. Guys, I read, oh gosh, oh my gosh, it's the one that came out 2024. This is so bad, I'll put it up on the screen, but I read that book and I loved it. I am not a big rom-com girly in books. I've said this a million times. I love that book because it didn't feel rom-com-y. It was so emotional. I honestly felt a lot of like personal ties with that book, with the main characters and what they're going through and like everything. I just thought it was portrayed so beautifully. So I am very, very, very excited to read Abby Jimenez's new release. I did not read Sail Remember Me, which came out last year, but I believe this is the second book in that interconnected standalone series because Sail Remember Me is the first in a new one. And then I just read Part of Your World, which is the first one in that series, and I also really enjoyed it. So I just want to get into more Abby Jimenez books and I'm very excited by this one. Shall we read the synopsis? I mean, like, it's a rom-com, like, you know, we kind of know what's going on. In everyone's life, there's a split-second decision that can change everything. For Larissa, it came when choosing which guy to ride home with after a concert. That night, she had no idea she'd meet the perfect man. She and Chris are great together, co-parenting a slightly unhinged rescue Yorkie, sharing their favorite books and judging bread. Pumpernickel for the win. For the first time, amid all her side hustles to scrape by, things finally feel easy. But Chris isn't the one who drove Larissa home all those months ago. Chris is her boyfriend's best friend. All Chris wants is for Larissa to be happy. Standing on the sidelines is slowly killing him, but making a move would destroy someone else, and he's not that guy. Okay, I have to say, you're dating his best friend and you're like into him and he's into you and there's this whole kerfuffle and you guys are co-parenting a Yorkie. It's giving very messy. I will definitely give it a chance. I just personally find it quite uncomfortable when there is cheating and deception in that kind of way. I mean, I'm sure they're not actually gonna cheat, but even just the fact that you're clearly into each other, because I'm sure they end up together in this romance novel. It's pretty obvious how these things work. I don't like that there's someone who's gonna get hurt in the process. You know what I mean? I don't know. Not too fond of that summary. The next book we have is the second book in the When the Moon Hatched series, which is The Ballad of Falling Dragons, and that comes out the 21st of April. Now, I've never read When the Moon Hatched, which I think came out like 2 years ago now, honestly, but I did get it for my sibling 2 years back for their birthday, so I have it. I've always wanted to read it. It's a beautiful cover, so I do want to read the next one as well. Hopefully, if I like it. I think I will. I've heard good things, but just wanted to put that out there because new book. Obviously not really gonna read the summary because it's the second book in a series, so I would not only be spoiling it for you guys but spoiling it for myself because I don't know what happened in the first book. But it's a fantasy series, there's dragons, it's really thick, so can't really go that wrong, right? Also, typically in April there is always a Emily Henry release. Now I'm pretty sure we're not getting one this year just because she has a lot of book to screen adaptations, which I will also talk about later. I'm honestly really glad that she's not coming out with a release, although she is one of my all-time favorite authors. I have to say I'm glad that she's like taking the time. I hate when books are rushed. Like, she's clearly got a lot going on, doing a lot for us with some book adaptations coming out, which I'm so excited about. So I am quite glad that she's like not on top of that, adding a new release this year. Obviously we'll be sad to not have a new Hen book because so many of them are 5 stars, but like, I'm glad. Then we have another yearly release from a favorite author, which is on the 26th of May from Annabelle Monaghan, coming out with Dolly All the Time. I love Annabelle Monaghan books. I I just think they're so good. And I do feel like I have a very different preference to her books than the general consensus that I see online. So there's that. Doesn't really say anything about the new release because obviously it hasn't come out yet, so I don't know what the general consensus is online, but I'm just so excited. I feel like her books are also very much like Emily Henry's, a women's fiction with a large theme of romance going throughout it, but it is very much about the woman like finding herself. She doesn't find that through like the man, but they help her continue being the person that she has discovered and like love her properly, if you know what I mean. Like, it's not all about the man. So let us find the summary for Dolly All the Time. If they begin by pretending, can they end with something real? Okay, love a fake dating. Personally, I love a fake dating trope. I just think it's so fun. It's obviously so deeply unrealistic. Like, when are you actually gonna find a scenario where like you guys are both like, yeah, no, like I think we should genuinely fake that we're in a relationship because this will really help what's going on in our real life situations. Like, it's so fake, but I love it. Okay, Dolly Brick has never met a problem she couldn't solve. Not when her mom left when she was 12, and not at 39 when she moved with her son back to Wickford, Rhode Island for the summer to keep her dad and brother from losing the family home. So when she comes across Stuart Wickford, annoyingly handsome scion of the Wickford family, with a flat tire and at the wrong end of a very public, very humiliating breakup, it's in her nature to help. But Stuart's proposed arrangement ends up being more than either of them bargained for, because as public dinners and high society benefits turn into sunset boat rides and swinging on the porch, Dolly starts to feel something more than helpful. She's never relied on anyone beside herself. Can she really start now? So yeah, clearly this one's gonna be very much about a like hyper independent woman who has to figure out how to rely on people and how to believe that people are actually gonna stick around and be there for you and help, which personally can definitely feel. So I think I'm gonna enjoy this one a lot, so I'm very excited for that. Have to say, not a fan of the name Stuart, but it is what it is. Just as long as we never call him Stu, I can probably be okay with it. Then another yearly release author in that women's fiction romance kind of genre, but with a twist of magical realism, which I think always keeps me on my toes a little bit, adds a little bit more intrigue, is June 16th release by Ashley Poston, which is The Someday Garden. I love Ashley Poston books. There's always some kind of really fun, really interesting magical realism thread. Like, she has a time traveling apartment in one. She has one where this girl magically finds herself in the town where her favorite book series is set. There is one where there's like a musical thread that like ties these two people together, and then there's one where she can see and talk to ghosts and dead people and then falls in love with one. So I am very excited to see what this one's about. I do think I read the synopsis, very much forget, so let's search that together. Oh my god. The cover, as per usual, is stunning. Oh, I really like this one. It's giving more the 7-Year Slip to me than the past two have been via the cover, which I really appreciate. When Sophie Dreer plans her escape to coastal Maine for the summer for a temporary job revitalizing the storied grounds at Lillimore House, she doesn't expect to fall in love. But she does, with the beguiling land, the fragrant flowers, and the towering hedge maze, with the quirky staff and the enigmatic woman who owns the place. And then the door appears. Ah, love this. I love little fantasy magical moment. Okay. Never in the same place twice, it leads her to a secret and unfinished garden with a frustrated thundercloud of a man trapped inside. Okay, grumpy sunshine. This mysterious garden is not the only sign that the future of Lillimore is unstable. The foliage resists Sophie's careful nurturing, vines threaten to strangle the hedges, and the manor's owner has wild ideas about who will take over when she retires, including her unconventionally attractive nephew who is also just there for the summer. Two different, okay. Very, 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 very intriguing. Despite herself, Sophie has come to care for the residents of Lillimore just as much as she cares for its grounds. With the help of one man on the outside of the secret garden and one man on the inside, she might be the only person who can figure out exactly what Lillimore needs to bloom once more. That's so interesting. That is really, really, I like that. I love, first of all, I love a very like nature, botanical vibe, especially in magical realism. I just think nature lends such a great like setting and hand into making a beautiful magical fantastic world. And on top of that, like a door into like a new secret place. It's also very much giving 7-Year Slip, because that was, you know, opening the door into the apartment time travel. So very, very intrigued, especially with one man on the inside and one man on the out, and like seeing how that plays, and if it's gonna be a Cinderella story kind of thing. Could very much be, and I do love a Cinderella story. Then a release that I've been waiting for literally years. Like, I love this series with all my heart. I cannot believe that this is gonna be the last book in the series. Like, I have reread and reread and reread these books so many times, like genuinely dozens. Like, I think in 1 year I read it like 6 times or something. Like, I love this series, and that is Heartstopper Volume 2 by Alice Oseman, which is coming out on the 2nd of July. Give me a second, because guys, I love Heartstopper. Like, I love it so much. I just think it's such a sweet love story, and story of friendship and love in like so many different ways, from familial to romantic to platonic, and within that like LGBTQ stories and everything, and people of color. Like, I just love this series. Is obviously like sadly hyper unrealistic to have such a beautiful group of people that are so different, like, and be so accepting in a small town that is primarily like white cis het people. But like, it's just a beautiful story, and I think it will hopefully help people, younger people, be able to feel safe and feel brave enough to come out themselves, or at least like understand who they are. And I don't know, I just love the series so much, and it also delves into a lot of deeper topics. I can't remember if it's starting book 3 or starting book 4, but there's definitely some like deeper topics, which I would then check trigger warnings for once you get to that point. But it's just truly such a beautiful story, and the show I also absolutely adore. So I'm so excited for this book to come out, but I am also terrified, and I will be binging it in probably like an hour because it's a graphic novel. I'm just gonna be going through that. I am literally so freaking excited. Then we have the 5th book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series by Carissa Broadbent, which I have so far only read the 1st book, which is The Serpent and the Wings of Night, but I did enjoy it, and I would like to continue that series. Obviously, I'm quite far away from the 5th book myself, but I do want to continue that eventually, and you know, I'm excited for it to continue. I will say, I believe books 1 and 2 are about the same 2 people, and then 3 and 4 are about a different 2 people, and then like 5 and 6 another 2 people. So I might not know the people that this book is currently about, and obviously like it doesn't follow the exact same people and the exact same story, but regardless, I am excited. I think the book's just like a fun time, at least the first one. If you don't know, the whole Crowns of Nyaxia world is about like vampires, and it's just so cool. Like, I think the cliffhanger that the 1st book ended on, just remembering now, was very interesting, and I really enjoyed how in the book there wasn't like a one person that was like perfectly correct at one time. Like, there were, especially at the end, like there were so many things where I was like, obviously I can see, and I am also alongside the main character, hurt by the actions of XYZ people, but I can see why each of them did exactly what they did, and like genuinely believed it to be right, even though it very much obviously wasn't. But like, that's the thing, it's like, it's always these morally gray decisions. It's always, at the end of the day, an ultimatum of what you believe is best, especially within fantasies, you know. So I don't know, I'm just very, very excited. It comes out August 4th, and I would like to have read maybe like 1 or 2 more from the series by the time that book comes out. That's it for the books that I personally, by this point that I'm filming it, know that are coming out within the next year, within 2026, which I am very, very excited about. Obviously there's more books that are coming out, but these are the ones that I'm personally excited to read and would like to read within 2026. But I do want to, you know, touch on maybe some book to screen adaptations that are also coming out this year, which I am so excited about. Firstly, I'm just gonna touch on this because I mentioned it earlier. Emily Henry's book to screen adaptation of People We Meet on Vacation comes out not November, oh my god, January 9th, which is so soon, which I am literally so excited about. Did I like People We Meet on Vacation as a book? No. I would be, I was gonna say I would be down to reread it. There's just one part that deeply irks me, and I don't want to say what it is, but it's this one part that I'm like, I can't stand with that. But I love the casting that they did with Tom Blythe and Emily, I was about to call her Emily Blythe too. Emily, I can't remember what her last name is, but she was in, oh my god, My Lady Jane, and he was in Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which I really enjoyed both of those. And I'm so excited. I feel like the casting is really good. Love the teaser, love the trailer that came out like a few weeks ago. So I'm very, very excited for this to come out, and thus why I'm very much not bothered with the fact that Emily Henry's not coming out with a new book this year, because I'm like, girl, take your time. You're still feeding us. I am very, very excited. I feel like I will really like Poppy and Alex more in a rom-com movie setting, especially because I did feel like that book, out of all of Emily Henry's, to me at least, felt the most rom-com-y. Rom-coms I love, specifically in a book or screen movie, any, oh my god, what am I saying? No, I specifically like not in a book, like a strict rom-com. I prefer them in a screen setting, whether that is a movie or a show, if that makes any sense. I'm talking so much that my words are just so freaking jumbled, but I am very, very, very excited to watch that, and we'll be watching it immediately when it comes out. Then, like, I need someone to hold my hand when I say this, because I am not prepared. November 20th, the film adaptation of Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins comes out. Guys, I am so freaking excited. If you don't know, which it's fine, it's literally so fine if you don't. It's just like my favorite series ever to exist, ever. This is the second prequel in the Hunger Games series by Suzanne Collins. So obviously we have the 3 Hunger Games books, then we had Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which the film came out 2023, and then now Ballad of Sunrise on the Reaping, which is Hamish's point of view, is coming out, which if you've read that book, you will understand. Like, first of all, Hamish has always been my favorite character ever since I read the original Hunger Games, watched the movies, all of it. So, like, that aside, I was like honestly really scared for this book, which is why I don't think I read it until like May. I was just so freaking terrified for what was gonna happen, and like if she was gonna do it justice, which I should have never undermined Miss Suzanne Collins. She is actually a mastermind. I don't want to talk too like deeply and politically about like this series and everything and what it means specifically with the current world state and America and everything, and like why she would even drop this book, which is, you know, tied to the political climate, etc., etc., which, but like her, the way that she has tied in so many small details from the original Hunger Games books, which were never like loopholes or plot holes or whatever they're called, or like threads that you necessarily didn't feel like you had enough information on. Like I feel like the original Hunger Games very much could have been just a completed package 3, and originally it was, and I'm pretty sure she like didn't, like Ballad didn't come out until like ages after the original books dropped, so it was very much a package deal of those 3. But just the way she has spun these prequels afterwards into this massive world that like really properly shows you the intricacies from like all different ways that you can look at it of the current world order and this dystopian fiction world as well, is insane. And I am so not ready to see that book play out on screen. Like I am terrified, because genuinely since finishing that book, which was like over 6 months ago now, I have not thought about it a single day since. Like every single day it gets more and more like traumatic and impactful, and I just think of a new connection, and it's just like it's terrifying and amazing and like everything in the world, and I am just so freaking scared of how they're gonna put that onto screen. But also the casting is incredible. Like I'm sorry, Joseph Zeta as Hamish, chef's kiss. McKenna Grace as Maisley Donner, I see it. She is sassy, like it works so well. Lulu and Luella. Also like Wyrus and Mags, insane castings. Maya Hawke as Wyrus, like I see it so like Plutarch, like oh my god, I just fear they ate so hard. But also like clearly the book to screen adaptations had to leave out a lot in terms of the gruesomeness of the books. Like ever since the first books, yes, these are YA books, but they were written to properly show you like the gruesomeness and the horrors that are reaching us and will reach us one day. Like it's insane. So like clearly like a lot of like the body horror and stuff like that, they couldn't translate very well onto screen, first of all, because they would have to change that rating to like an R so quickly, and second of all, even then I think it would just be like way too much to see. I think like at that point it's like, let people read the books. Like you don't, I was gonna say you don't have to physically see that, obviously that's like a whole other story, which she also does touch on in these books. But I think the movies really bring the audience in. They show the horrors of what's going on really well, and then hopefully intrigue the audience enough for those that haven't read the books to then go and read the books and really see the intricacies of everything that is going on. That's a whole separate freaking discussion. But yeah, I am just so excited yet terrified for that release. But thankfully I have nearly a year to like pull myself together a little bit before someone has to pull me kicking and screaming out of that movie theater. But anyway, those are all the books that I am really anticipating reading and having releases in 2026. So thank you guys for watching so much. Also comment down below what releases you're excited for, whether that is books, book to screen adaptations, something that I haven't touched on, because there's probably so much. I always like completely miss out until like a book comes out, or like 2-week lead up to it, and I'm like, I had no clue that author was coming out with another book, or like that series was continuing or like currently coming out, etc. So yeah, definitely leave that down below. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week.